All right.
Okay, we're recording. Okay, so Chrissy, this week our call is all about getting up early, starting the day right,
Mm-hmm.
and what that means in our bodies. So, I mean, I know how I've learned that in terms of the courses I've taken and things like that. But how have you absorbed that lesson of Ayurveda?
Well, I think when we first started talking about all this, I told you that my focus was my yoga and meditation practice early in the morning. And so all of these other habits came to support that.
Hmm.
So I was getting up early. I was doing my meditation practice, my yoga practice. And some days went really well and some days didn't. Some days it was easy to get up, some days it wasn't. And so all the other habits kind of came from that. So this has been really important to me. I love that morning time. Love.
Hmm.
That's like my little sacred time. And so I do sit for meditation at 6:30 every morning, but
Yeah.
then I'm up earlier so that I can do, my routine and do some yoga beforehand. So I love it. Super
And tell
important.
me about your meditation practice. Is that have you always done it the same way, or does that change and evolve depending on seasons or where you're at in your life?
You know what? I'm initiated into the Himalayan tradition.
Yeah.
And so we're given a mantra, a personal mantra that we use. And so that is the basis of our meditation. And that does not change. What happens with it might change inside our understanding, but that formal seated practice, a core part of it is doing mantra repetition, or what we would call japa. And that hasn't changed in, almost 10 years.
So when you sit for meditation, you do the same mantra every morning.
Every morning.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a practice that's been that stable. So
Well, the whole idea is just that. So in the tradition, the personal mantra that we're given, they say we've had it for lifetimes.
Oh.
And so when we're initiated, it's just something that we're coming back to. And the whole idea is we recite it internally. So it's never spoken out loud. It was only spoken once when my teacher gave it to me. Mm-hmm. But the whole idea is that we recite that over and over again internally, and the vibration is going inwards. Mm-hmm. And the penetrating the different layers of the mind and revealing its meaning to us in different ways at different times, depending on where we are in our practice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. And so, like, meditation for me has always been like so many different ways. Sometimes it's guided. Sometimes it is a mantra. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's journaling. Like it's very active in that way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
no, go ahead.
Particular habit that we're going into is almost talking about. It's almost like it's talking about the body getting prepared for that meditation, and the idea of getting up and drinking enough water that you get to evacuate the first thing in the morning. Right? You have your big morning bowel movement, and then you can move into your day empty.
Yeah.
Is that something that's been, I don't know, a practice or something that you learned?
That hasn't been a practice. That has evolved a little bit because I used to drink a full liter of water every morning. It used to be room temperature.
Was that prescribed, like Ayurvedically or anything?
Yeah.
Or something you did?
So from my doctor, and I used to have it in a copper pot. It would sit overnight in a copper pot, and then I would drink that first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And things changed, she said, with my, doshas and stuff like that, and things were happening. And so then I had to warm it up and I had to add lemon. Mm-hmm. So I started doing that. I don't know how many years ago that was, probably like 4. And then in the last 2 years, I had to reduce it to like half a liter, but still warm and still with lemon. And now I'm back up to about a liter. But
so Like when are you being prescribed these things, or are these things that you're sort of like the amounts and whether or not you add lemon and the temperature? Is that something you're just playing with and figuring out on your own? Because that's kind of how I feel like our group does it, right?
Yeah.
Like they're just sort of being given the general guidelines and then they get to go and figure out how to apply it in their lives.
Yeah. And that is a good thing, right? Because it teaches us to listen to our body and figure out, follow the general guidelines, but then figure out what works best for you. Because I have this amazing teacher, when I've got issues that come up, he makes changes. And the whole drinking water in the morning thing might be totally unrelated. And all of a sudden he'll be like, change this. And I'm like, okay. So and I have such a deep faith and trust in it that I don't question it anymore. At the beginning, I'd be like, well, why do I want to do this? What is this doing? How is it helpful? And he'd be like, just do it. Whereas now if he says change something, then I just do it and I don't question it and I learn as I go. Yeah.
I think we all wish we had him in our back pockets then.
Totally.
Because it takes so much of the trial and the error out, right? Because I think that you're trying to go about finding the same kind of balance that you're achieving without having that person say, ooh, you know what would be good for you? Less water or more water, or more lemon or less lemon.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is I was at one point trying to experiment with myself, and I had started to add some honey in the morning because there is some yoga text that says that we can either put honey or lemon in it. So I thought, I'm going to try honey. And we're on a retreat and he's like, no honey for you, just lemon. And I'm like, okay. I don't know why, but I said, okay. So I was experimenting on my own, but that part didn't work well.
Yeah, I always, mine is mostly either hot water or hot water and lemon. I wonder if that has more to do with whether or not I have lemons in the house than it has to do with it might have more to do with my shopping than it does with my actual, like I've run out of lemons. I'm not using lemons today. And then I feel like when I add honey or ginger to it, it's like, it's almost like it's a different thing. I'm not doing it anymore to hydrate, but if I get up in the morning and honey and ginger come in, it's when I'm trying to support immunity somehow. My own immunity when I add those things.
And I'm funny because like that's one of my really strict habits. I've got a few that are like there's no negotiation. So if we go on holidays, I've got the lemons. I'm not leaving home without my lemons and like some way to have warm water. And if not, then I'll have it room temperature and leave it just out overnight. But that I found that it's been so helpful for me. And even in the beginning when I was still having really bad migraines and stuff like that, that hydration was so important first thing in the morning.
I do find that when I'm traveling too, it's almost like it's more important of a habit traveling than it is when I'm at home.
Totally.
Yeah. And I'm there's something about the mobility and the vata aggravation of travel. It's just it adds vata, and vata just innately creates a greater chance, I guess, of just that constipation factor. And you find that when you go away, it just feels like automatically there's a greater chance that you're feeling constipated, right? Than you are when you're in your own home and your own routines. So that's when the water I find is like even more important.
Totally.
Like I use those little hotel room coffee pots to just like heat up the water. And I drink one cup as I've got another one pouring in. I get rid of all the coffee pods in it and just and water. Yeah. But same thing. As soon as we get somewhere, I always get my lemons. Yeah.
Yeah. And as you said, it's so important for hydrating, especially with travel, because we do get dehydrated just, traveling, but then to help with our bowel movements. So important.
I love the saying, you need to have that evacuation first thing in the morning, because if you don't, you spend the rest of the day with shit for brains. So do you notice like something in that way where is there a relationship in your body between whether or not you've had a bowel movement and, I don't know, like that mental clarity? Yeah,
I do find that. It's interesting though, because I've been doing this for about 10 years, right?
Yeah.
In the water in the morning, and so I'm up at 5. Sometimes earlier than that. So I'm having my water at 5, but I usually don't, still won't have a bowel movement for at least 2 or 3 hours, even 4 sometimes.
You've got
So it's not immediate for me.
Yeah.
And it's usually, I'd say 4 hours. It's usually like 9 o'clock.
Huh.
And so I do feel a little bit, if it doesn't happen by then, for sure.
You're
But
panicking.
I also won't put anything in my stomach besides water or tea until I have a bowel movement. So I wait to put food in. I have to have that bowel movement first. That's kind of my rule.
Interesting.
So,
yeah.
And just that idea of like, let it all come out before you add more in, right?
Well, they say that like the bowel, the bowl of the pelvis is the seat of vata, right? So we always talk about vata imbalance being in your brain, right? This like this imbalance is happening here. Like it's stress, it's anxiety, it's everything that's happening up here. But I think of it almost like there's a tree, and this is where the branches and the leaves and everything of that tree are. And then your spine is the tree trunk. And then the roots are like, because the seat of vata is in your pelvis, right? It's in the organs, of the low organs of your belly. And so I think of it almost like allowing my body the opportunity to get to those really good nutrients so that it can be pulling up the hydration to my brain, pulling up nutrients to my brain, like the same way roots would be drawing moisture up from the ground. And that bowel movement's essential to clear out all the stuff you don't want to be, like all the stuff. Yeah, right? Like, even the idea of ama and agni, this idea of the fire in your belly and then the leftover sludge, like this is part of that leftover sludge that we want to be able to move out of our bodies.
Totally. I love that visualization. That's awesome.
Yeah, I like that visualization too. And it helps you sort of get a sense of why you want.
Totally.
And the effect of it. So this whole idea of starting your day right and understanding the relationship between something as, I don't know, mundane as your bowel movement to the, I don't know, the lightness you get to experience in your day, or the ease, or the something, right? Something over here. Yeah. I don't know maybe what the words are quite for it. But yeah.
I love that. And, I do find that if it so happens that I am totally cleared out before I sit for meditation, I totally notice a difference. I notice a lightness in my body, but I also notice that lightness, that clarity in my mind. So that is ideal.
Yeah.
And it happens every so often, but I'd say, on a regular basis, it's not. And I know that Swami Veda used to say, like, you can start to train yourself slowly, like go sit on the toilet after you've drinking the water, or he said, go walk around the block a couple of times, or do a little bit of movement to get things moving, and then go sit. And he's like, you don't want to be trying, but you're just trying to allow the body to remember that this is what's happening. And that's where also I was reading Kate's book and how she said about the squatty potty. And I've had a squatty potty for years. And just that squatting position is so helpful for unkinking your colon so that you can have that bowel movement. So super important. I can't bring that to work though, so that's part of the problem.
Yeah, that's fair. I do always send out the squatty potty commercial that they made because it's so funny. So everyone will get a copy of that, of course, in this next section.
That's awesome. It's so good.
Yeah. And even if you don't have a squatty potty, you start to buy your bathroom garbage can.
Yes.
You can easily slide it in front of your feet. So you just need one that's got more stability to it. It's the right height. Yeah.
And that's what I usually do when I'm traveling, taking the garbage can that's in the bathroom if we're in a hotel and flipping it over. Yes.
Yeah.
So it works.
That's what I do too. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's good.
So how about for you? Have you found that this helps with your bowel movement in the morning? And
yeah, the water is essential.
Yeah.
It's almost the same for me. I go on and off my coffee habit. And right now I would say I'm drinking coffee. So, but my rule usually is that I have to drink quite a bit of water and try to have that bowel movement so that it's not stimulated by coffee. So Yeah, so that I know I'm not doing it because I'm adding a diuretic to my life, right? I know that my body is naturally able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But even just paying attention to it, because I think I was the kind of person beforehand where I would have said, oh, everything's fine. I don't know, it's fine. But now I'm way more aware of what part of my day that happens in.
Yes.
Yeah. And the effect of it, if it doesn't happen in parts of my day.
Yeah, and I have this feeling, and it's a visualization, just that if it doesn't happen, that I feel like things will just pile up and pile up and pile up inside. And that visual in itself is what kind of holds me off from eating anything solid until it happens, right? And drinking more water, drinking some tea. I haven't had coffee in it's been about 6 months now. I do have a little bit of Earl Grey tea. And so sometimes that caffeine can get things going if needed. But I do, as much as possible, try and let the body do its thing, right? And get into that natural habit.
Yeah. And I do have a tea called Smooth Move that's by the, I don't know, traditional medicinal organics tea or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that if you're traveling or something like that, you can put a couple packets of that in if things need extra support.
Yeah. I also take Triphala.
Oh, you do?
I do. And I take it at night. And I used to take the powdered form. I don't know if you've tried it before. It is the most horrible tasting thing ever. Awful. So now I take it in a capsule form just because I found that it was just too hard for me to
like when you want to barf after you take something, it's not really the best thing in the world.
And that my mom, like, I remember years ago, my mom was like, what are you doing? You're standing over the kitchen sink gagging. And I'm like, I'm trying to get this down. And then it's like, it's so not worth it. So yeah, but the capsules do. I find they just help support my digestion.
Yeah.
And support balance.
Now, is that a herb that you can take regularly all the time, or is that something that you should just be taking for support once in a while, or what have you learned about it?
What have I learned about it?
Or what do you know of it? Like, do you know of it in something like vitamin C that you can just pop every day?
Yeah. I think in small doses you can take every day.
Yeah.
And it's not that big. It's not going to cause any upheaval or anything like that or imbalance. But if you're relying on it for a bowel movement, then that's when you know that you shouldn't be taking it every day, right? Because then your own body loses that ability.
Right. That's the thing, isn't it? It's almost like when everything's working really well, you even need less water in the mornings. Like when you're as hydrated as your body needs you to be, you'll find that you don't need that full liter in the morning or something anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think lots of us where we live in this part of the world, the water is our stimulant, I guess, is what we're doing. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Well, that's, I think, the big lesson for this week is just being able to watch that behavior in your body and that balance in your own body. Yeah. Thank you for your insights.
Thank you. Yeah.